We had so much potential. Our broken neck did it all. The year was unkind. I thought we'd play forever. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this review, we're gonna admit we were wrong.
Are
we're
we?
gonna tell you why we were wrong about the lava guitars.
I'm never wrong.
And why we won't be carrying them in the shop anymore in this video. All right, John, we're back to admit we are big enough men. We've been married long enough to know how to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Even when we're not?
Yes. In this case, we are. And we're going to explain why. We're going to talk about the Lava Me guitars, why we originally said they're a great product, why we still stand behind a lot of those things.
Ideas that we've had.
But some of the things that have come up over the year that we've been selling them that are going to make us reconsider carrying them at the Acoustic shop.
Yep.
And we're going to discuss that in this video. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel because we do a lot of these reviews. And we're not afraid to admit when we were wrong. Got one wrong.
I am actually afraid to admit it. It's hurting my pride a lot.
But like you said, when you're married, you got to do it anyway. But in this case, all right, so let's start out with the good things. Why we said this was a really cool product and why I still say this is a really cool product.
It is one of the coolest products out there. When we saw the demos for this, the Lava Me 3, which we carried a few different ones from Lava, I still think this is one of the most innovative products out here. It's a cool guitar. It is a carbon guitar. It's supposed to be a carbon fiber guitar. It has this really cool screen in here with all kinds of great software effects built in that play through the guitar. Had practice stuff.
The practice stuff was really cool.
The metronome, recorders, loop stations.
If you guys want to see the full review, we did a full review of it. It's got some really cool stuff in it. And I think especially from the educational point, if it's your first guitar, it had some practices where you're doing, you're listening to it, it plays you a tone, and then you find the tone, and it tells you whether you were right or wrong. It has you play a chord and tells you whether you had the chord right. It has rhythm patterns that you strum, and it measures them and says it's basically a guitar hero built into your guitar to help learn how to play the guitar. For real. So I think that stuff was really cool.
I'm going to keep doing this.
What we couldn't know when we first carried this was how well the actual guitar held up. So the technology, very cool, but we started to see some things happening. It started with a couple customers that, all right, they claim it's a carbon fiber guitar. We carry McPherson carbon fiber guitars. And we've had
lots of CA guitar has been in here. We've had rain songs.
And the idea behind carbon fiber is almost indestructible, lightweight. You can keep it in your car. Things don't happen to it.
Really, the entire need for a carbon guitar was to have something that you don't worry about, can take abuse, because otherwise we can all just carry our guitars. Yeah. I mean, that was
one of the cool features about carbon
fiber.
One
of the lacking things about carbon guitars is they don't sound like wood guitars. Yeah. I mean, there's some that sound better than others. There's some that sound a lot better than others. But that was the whole purpose. This was going to be a durable guitar because that's what it's designed to be.
I've got to go out on a limb and say they might be being a little generous with saying this is carbon fiber because it is not holding up the same way. We had a couple customers get them. They would fall off the stand and crack. And that shouldn't happen with the carbon fiber guitar.
So the first one was we had a guy came in. He put it on the wall with his standard. Now, admittedly, he installed his wall hanger incorrectly. And he came back and saw that the anchors had pulled out of the wall, dropped the guitar on the ground. Broke the entire back seam wide open. Brought it back to us. Again, he admitted, my fault. But we were kind of like, wait a second.
That shouldn't happen from a 1 foot drop.
Yeah, it wasn't that far of a drop. So I'm like, okay. So then I had one of my friends who's also a customer here that bought one of these guitars. And he goes, hey, it slid off my chair and landed on my carpeted floor. And he shows it to me, and it's got a big split in the back. I mean, like this long along the seam, big split. And I'm like, okay, now we got something happening here. I'm like, this is not quite right.
And then along the way, especially the Lava, what is it, the Pro? we started to see some neck issues where, again,
This
a
is
carbon
the Me
fiber
3, the one that we have
a carbon
here.
fiber neck should not be moving at all. Like, it's
fact,
impossible to
The
move.
guitar you have in here right now is the 4th guitar that we have got back with a neck angle issue. It started out right. Again, let's go back to the specs. These are a plecked guitar, supposed to be plecked, and they play great. Like, this one still is playing. This was our original demo unit. Plays great, still set up well. I like it. I'm looking at that one, and I'm almost thinking you could
don't know if
fling
you can
arrows
zoom
with
in
that.
on
That's
that,
a little
but
bit
man,
of a
that
bow
is-
there. That angle has gone back, and that is probably...
It's about 3/8 inch off the fretboard there.
That's a fair amount.
And I was sighting it, and yeah, it's got a pretty big bow in it, and the neck is pulled forward some. And again, these aren't really meant to be adjusted. There's no
can't
truss rod in
adjust
these.
this.
The carbon fiber, there's not really a way to get a
Shouldn't
saddle that
need
fits in
to.
it. Exactly.
There, let's go, first of all, it's a carbon guitar. We all know the whole idea of this is it doesn't need to.
It shouldn't need to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's the whole purpose of it. So again, this is the 3rd or 4th of those that we've had that have done that. We've shipped those back. Last thing that I want to point out that we started to find out was software issues. It started to get very laggy and buggy. In fact, this one I'm going to keep on trying here, but I had this running right before we started filming, and it started up, and then all of a sudden it got back to me.
crashes.
It just crashed and just quit, and I don't know what's going on here. I get a screen. You guys
starts
can
up.
see it. It
Starts
gotta
up,
start.
loads for a second, and then
Loads,
just like, nope.
and nope. That's it.
So what we're saying is the things that you really can't know until you've had time to try it. I think the offering and the promise was great. A carbon fiber guitar, all this technology built
Decent
in
price.
it. Decent price. And besides the lesson stuff in it, it also had some really cool effects. You can do some fun stuff with. And honestly, tone-wise, as an acoustic guitar, I had to play this one pretty difficult. That's not a bad sounding acoustic sound with all the other stuff that it has as a trade-off. One more thing I gotta
Fun.
say they got going for them: aesthetics. The cases look awesome. The charger looks awesome. The charging
box
stand
looks cool.
The box, they put the thought into all the looks and packaging. And then the problem is they may have just rushed the development and design of the actual materials used to build the guitar and the software. So I really think it's something, maybe it was ahead of its time, or that somebody else can pick up this idea and do better with it. But we didn't feel comfortable continuing to sell these, and we actually blew out what was left of our inventory.
I will say they have actually come back for every customer that has bought one and replaced them so far that we've dealt with. Now, I don't know if that's everybody's case out there, but this is not something, again, that's just seen here at the Acoustic Shop. We scoured the forums. This is not the first complaint, especially the neck angle issues. Those have showed up quite a bit in the different forums. Again,
And it's something
what a
like
cool
we sell
product.
Eastman, and we've sold thousands of them. In fact, we've become the biggest Eastman guitar dealer in the world. And we see some guitars that need repair and some guitars that have issues. But
That's
if
normal.
you have a ratio, that's a very small percentage. This, we've probably only sold about 10 or 20 of them. And to have 4 or 5 of those come back is a pretty large percentage to have issues with. So even if they replace those, we don't know that those replacements are going to have that same issue a little down the road. And that's why we just felt like right now we needed to take a step back from these. We're not going to carry them anymore. Maybe we'll revisit them in a few years, and if they've been listening to the feedback from their customers and their dealers, maybe they're going to improve the problems that have been showing up, and then we can look at them again, see if it's something we want to carry. Because I still really believe in the idea of it. I'm just so disappointed that the actual delivery of the product
execution.
didn't show up.
I'll try one more time to start
Yeah,
this
try it
thing
one more
up.
time
Yeah,
just to see if it works all of a sudden. So, if you guys bought one of the Lava guitars, tell us what you think of it. Did you have fun with it? Did you have any problems with it? And what are your thoughts on that? I think the technology is really cool. I would love for another company. I know Yamaha has some of their internal, what do they call that?
They have a sound effects. It's not quite this kind
Not
of
quite the
detail.
same. That's what I'm wondering. If somewhere somebody could pick up that sort of stuff, put a screen on the guitar, or even an external
I think
screen,
that
and have
was
it
what
connect
was
wirelessly.
such a cool thing about this product, though. It wasn't like it just did one. Maybe that's the problem. There's your problem. I figured it out.
It's trying to do all
It was
things.
trying to do all things great. Mom always said you can't do all things great. Stick to one
I think
thing.
Mom
do
said you
that
can't do
really
anything great, John. But anyway.
Anyway, I think, like you said, I think that's our problem here is we had so much promise, lots of really, really big things that this was capable of doing and did for a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden it
And
wasn't.
I think there's probably some customers that got ones that worked and didn't have these issues that love them. I would love mine if it had all these promises and the neck didn't start to do that.
Honestly, this was our demo unit here that we kept around here. and I was hoping to just take this home and use it with my kids, but then this started.
And your daughter has one of the ukuleles,
yeah,
right?
she does, and she loves it. It's purple. It's beautiful.
It has the effects to run through it. Very cool. So cool product, just bad execution, and that's why we're going to say we're sorry. We took a try on this, and sometimes you don't know until you've had it in there for a while how well the track record's going to be. So we are going to say goodbye, rest in peace, Lava.
This is such a cool idea. So sad.
Maybe you guys can get it figured out, and then reach back out to us when you're ready for us to re-review these guitars. In the meantime, what are you going to rate this, John?
Let's go through our rating. 1 through 5 stars for tone. I'm going to say for a carbon fiber guitar at this price point, I actually still think
Not a bad tone.
it's a 3.5. Yeah, that's a 3.5.
In like category, I'd say I'd almost give it a 4. This one I think has a really good tone, and the Pro really sounded good. So just as an acoustic guitar to play, I think I'm going to give it a 4 for in a similar carbon fiber body.
Setup and playability. This is so tough. Like this one is still set up well. I actually would give this one a 5. I think this was set up, playability, everything that I would want it.
And if it's a full carbon fiber, it should stay that way forever.
That one gets a 2.
Yeah,
it's not
it's unplayable,
abysmal.
really. Especially if we were recommending it for beginners. That is just not going to work for a beginner.
So there's that. I give it 5 and a 2 at the same time.
So the average is out to a 3.
Build quality, guys. Again, we just got to base it off of what we're seeing. It gets a 1. It's just that's sad.
Yeah, I'd give it a 2 just because the build quality initially is great, but it's just not holding up. So I'm gonna give it a 2.
Aesthetics. It's so cool looking.
I'd give it a 5 for aesthetics.
Yeah, it's cool. The
put
whole
a lot
thing.
into
I
that.
like the charging base. I like the case. I liked everything.
I even like the way
about
they put the screen into the guitar. It all looks and feels great. The strap buttons are great. The straps that they have with them. The tuners even look futuristic, man. It's
Overall
so cool.
value, if you got one that works, I think value-wise it was a solid 4. If you got the ones that aren't doing very good at all, it's not worth anything. No. It's a 0.
Yeah, because you really can't fix this. This guitar, they can't do anything to get that neck back where it should be. You can't lower that saddle anymore. It's as low as it can go.
Get out a heat torch and see if you can bend it back, melt it back.
It's a possibility. I'm wondering, they might be a little exaggerating that it's actually carbon fiber. So I'm going to give it a 2.
There you go.
So anyway, let us know what you guys think of it. This is a first for us, having to go back and say, you know what? After a year, we're going to have to recant our initial review.
I say recan.
Recant. And maybe if they fix it, we recan. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning into the channel. We appreciate you being a part of our world. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you haven't watched the initial review of this guitar, we have a link to it right here. And I think it's worth checking out in case maybe they do fix things. And then
you can see what the promise was, because it really was a cool idea. Click that link. It's worth checking out.